What if your memories, your voice, your personality, even your beliefs could live on forever, long after you're gone? Welcome to the strange frontier of digital immortality. This is the deep dive, and today we're embarking on a journey that, well, it cuts across cutting-edge science, innovative startups, and some truly profound ethical dilemmas. At its heart, this is about our ancient, deeply human fear of fading away and how advanced technology is now challenging our fundamental understanding of life, death, and legacy. We're moving beyond mere headlines, diving into the surprising facts and the complex implications of what it truly means to live forever through data. Through data. Truly means to live forever through data. So to start, let's maybe lay the groundwork. When we talk about digital immortality, it sounds like something plucked straight from a sci-fi novel. But what is this concept really at its core?
Right. Well, at its most ambitious, digital immortality refers to the theoretical idea of storing or transferring a person's entire consciousness into a computer, a virtual body, or even a robot. Imagine like the ultimate backup plan for your entire being. But the concept is also expanded, and now includes what we call generative ghosts or AI afterlives. These are AI agents designed to represent a deceased person, and they're capable of producing incredibly believable human behaviors.
Believable how?
Everything from recalling detailed memories to even engaging in planning, almost as if the person were still here.
And the most profound, maybe even audacious version of this, the one that really captures the imagination, is mind uploading. What's involved there?
Yeah, mind uploading. That's the hypothetical process of creating a complete copy of a person's inner world, their consciousness, their intelligence, their unique self, and then transferring that copy into a computer to run as a simulation.
Wow.
It rests on some pretty significant philosophical underpinnings, though. The first is physicalism.
Physicalism?
Yeah, the idea that every aspect of the mind, including consciousness itself, can be entirely explained by the brain's physical structure, its intricate arrangement of neurons, and its complex biochemistry. In essence, your mind is your brain.
So the implication is there's no mysterious, unquantifiable soul or ethereal component that science can't eventually explain or replicate.
Precisely, that's the assumption. The second assumption is a belief in the sheer power of future technology, that we will one day understand the brain with enough fidelity and possess the scanning and computational power to accurately simulate all its aspects.
Okay, that makes sense as an assumption.
And the third crucial assumption, specifically for the digital part, is that the mind is computable.
Computable, meaning?
Meaning that no physical property of the brain, no nuance of consciousness, cannot eventually be accurately simulated by code, even if it requires, an unfathomable amount of it. These assumptions are naturally subjects of intense scientific and philosophical debate.
I bet.
But they form the aspirational bedrock of mind uploading.
It's a truly profound concept, really shifts our understanding of identity. So what are the actual technologies that are beginning to maybe chip away at that boundary, bringing these concepts closer to our present reality?
Well, the advancements in artificial intelligence are genuinely breathtaking. Large language models, or LLMs like GPT-4, they're not just good, they're incredibly adept at conversational mimicry.
Right, mimicry.
They operate by predicting the most plausible responses based on patterns learned from billions and billions of lines of human text and data. This core ability is what truly powers much of what we're witnessing today in the digital afterlife space.
And we've seen incredibly poignant and sometimes, frankly, unsettling real-world applications of this, especially when it comes to grief. It feels like where human emotion meets cutting-edge AI.
Exactly. Take Replica, for instance. This AI chatbot app actually originated from a very personal experience of grief. Its founder created a bot to mimic her deceased best friend, training it on his old text messages so she could continue to talk with him.
Wow, just from text messages.
Yeah. That raw human need to connect after loss directly drove the creation of an AI companion that's now used by millions. Then there's Project December. That's an online AI system where a young man used his deceased fiance's text messages and online posts to create what was described as an uncanny interactive recreation, an AI girlfriend that communicated solely through text but mimicked her voice and mannerisms so convincingly.
Uncanny is the word. How did he describe it?
He famously called it a Turing test of the heart.
Of the heart?
Yeah, playing on the famous Turing test where a machine tries to convince a human it's intelligent. Here, it was about emotional conviction, whether the AI could genuinely replicate the feeling of connecting with his fiancée.
That's intense.
It is. And what these examples reveal is not just technological prowess, but a raw, deeply human truth. Our earliest steps towards digital immortality aren't driven by a quest for eternal life, but by the overwhelming universal ache of grief. This technology, at its core, is a manifestation of our struggle to let go.
That's incredibly powerful and probably very, very complex for the people involved. Beyond just replicating conversation, how else are these AIs mimicking us? Is it just about text, or are they capturing more subtle aspects of personality?
Oh, it goes much deeper than simple conversation. AI can now be trained on a specific person's vast personal data set. Their emails, private messages, photos, videos, even diary entries.
All of that.
All of it. To produce answers not just in their characteristic style, but also with their emotional nuance, their unique sense of humor, sarcasm, or even their individual flaws and idiosyncrasies.
Right, the little things that make someone them.
Exactly. It's those small, specific details that make the simulation emotionally convincing and authentic to the person. A striking real-world example is SenseTime's founder, Tang Xiao. After his death, his digital clone.
A digital clone.
Yes, trained using video and audio clips via an LLM, delivered a speech at the company's annual general meeting.
So he essentially gave a posthumous speech, a digital echo delivering his final words in his own likeness. That's remarkable.
Yes, truly. Another instance is Ray Kurzweil's Fredbot.
Fredbot.
A chatbot embodying his deceased father, Fred Kurzweil. It was designed to respond only with exact quotes from digitized letters, a very specific kind of digital ghost.
Fascinating.
And we're seeing this with public figures, too. The renowned musician Laurie Anderson worked with a university to create a chatbot of her late partner, Lou Reed, that actually generates new music lyrics in his signature style.
Wow, creating new content.
Yes, and, maybe more controversially, gun control activists have even used AI to recreate victims' voices for pleas to legislators, amplifying their message in a deeply personal way.
And it's not just text or audio anymore, is it? We're now seeing the capabilities of deepfake technology being applied to clone a person's voice and even their video likeness. This brings a whole new dimension to digital preservation.
Absolutely. Think back to Amazon's 2022 Alexa prototype demonstration.
I remember hearing about that.
Yeah, a child asked Alexa if Grandma could finish reading The Wizard of Oz. And the voice assistant immediately switched to a voice that sounded just like the child's late grandmother. Amazon revealed that with a tiny snippet of audio, an algorithm can clone a person's voice.
A tiny snippet.
It was presented as a heartwarming feature, but it also carries a profound implication. It suggests a future where deceased loved ones could routinely read bedtime stories or offer advice through our smart devices.
Like a digital ghost in the machine, literally.
Kind of, yeah. And we've seen this in music, too, with the Beatles' release of Now and Then, where AI was instrumental in enabling the deceased John Lennon to sing along with the surviving members. It's no longer just about a static memory. It's about an active, interactive presence in a new creation.
These developments are incredibly tied into our current cultural conversation. I mean, many people probably immediately think of episodes of shows like Black Mirror.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially Be Right Back, which explored these exact themes of digital resurrection and grief.
They absolutely do. And the pain of loss, that universal experience, is proving to be an incredibly powerful motivator. It's driving innovation in this nascent grief tech space.
Grief tech.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's rapidly blurring the line between simply remembering someone and actively preserving them in a digital interactive form.
Okay, so we've defined the concept and seen how current technologies are pushing the boundaries. But let's dive into the hard science for a moment. How realistic is something as ambitious as full mind uploading? Especially when we consider the sheer, just mind-boggling complexity of the human brain.
It's an immense challenge. I mean, perhaps the greatest biological and computational challenge we can imagine. The human brain is, well, it's the most complex biological structure known in the universe.
That's saying something.
It is. We're talking about roughly 100 billion neurons.
100 billion?
Each connected to thousands of others, creating a stunning 1 million billion connections.
1 million billion.
It's hard to even picture. Exactly. And these neurons are firing signals up to 1,000 times each second. That translates to 1 quadrillion electrochemical events happening every single second.
1 quadrillion per second.
Per second. capturing that information, that dynamic, ever-changing activity, is a truly monumental task.
That sounds like an unfathomable amount of data, even with today's supercomputers.
It truly is. Consider this for scale. Scanning a mere cubic millimeter of brain tissue, just one tiny cube, generates 2 million gigabytes of cloud storage.
2 million gigabytes for a millimeter.
Yeah. So to scan a whole human brain would require repeating that effort 1 million times over.
Okay, wow.
And to truly simulate it correctly, some scientists believe we might need to map it down to the individual molecules, which could potentially produce more data than all current data storage on Earth combined.
More data than exists on Earth right now. Just for one brain simulation? That's staggering.
It's almost incomprehensible, yeah.
And even if we could somehow get that static blueprint, that perfect snapshot of every neuron and synapse, how do you animate it? How do you turn that inert brain water into consciousness wine, as some have playfully put it?
That's precisely the brain water to consciousness wine problem. It's a great way to put it. Even with a perfect scan, a static wiring diagram of the entire brain, we still need the underlying laws and rules to animate that diagram.
Right, the operating system, kind of?
Sort of, but much more fundamental. We need to understand the intricate chemical binding, the electrodynamics, maybe even quantum effects, all working in concert to make it a dynamic, active, thinking entity. This isn't just a technical hurdle. It's a philosophical chasm.
How so?
It forces us to ask, is the mind fundamentally a machine we can reverse engineer with enough data? Or is there an emergent quality, perhaps more than the sum of its parts, that cannot be captured by even the most perfect blueprint?
Right. Can consciousness be reduced to just data and process?
We simply don't know if our current understanding, or even future technology, can give rise to real minds in this way. It's like having a complete list of ingredients for a cake.
Okay.
But still needing the perfect recipe and the precise cooking method to make it rise and taste good.
So no easy bake oven for consciousness, then?
Definitely not.
But there's an optimistic view, isn't there? That we're simply bad at predicting the pace of scientific and technological progress.
Absolutely. The optimistic view suggests that while it seems impossible now, it might be possible to simplify these elements into probabilistic models. Models that match overall brain behavior with a more manageable number of simpler systems.
Okay, a simplification.
And history tells us that humans have been notoriously bad at predicting the pace of their own progress. I mean, look at AI itself in the last decade.
True.
Futurists like Ray Kurzweil have boldly predicted mind backups to the cloud by as early as 2045.
2045? That's not that far away.
Not really. Others believe perfection could take 100 to 200 years, assuming it's even physically possible. Regardless, the scientific pursuit itself is valuable, even if it only leads to a deeper understanding of ourselves and new technologies along the way.
So if the ultimate mind upload is still a distant dream, maybe even an impossible one, what are we doing in the meantime to build these mind files, these digital representations of ourselves?
Well, a prime example is the Teresa Movement Foundation's Life Not project.
Life Not.
Yeah. This is a decades-long scientific experiment specifically designed to explore if human minds can be uploaded to new forms, like robots or avatars. They're actively conducting research and developing prototypes to figure this out now.
And they have a rather famous, if maybe primitive, example in Bina 48, right? Tell us about her and how she was created.
Yes, Bina 48. She's an AI created specifically to capture the consciousness, personality, mannerisms, attitudes, and beliefs of Bina Rothblatt, who was their first volunteer.
The first volunteer. And how did they capture all that?
To create Bina 48, the human Bina was videotaped and interviewed for many, many hours.
Hours and hours.
Yes, about her likes, dislikes, memories, core beliefs, everything. This extensive information was then transcribed into a massive database, and then it took 5 years of dedicated AI work to reanimate her personality using this collected data.
5 years of AI work. And what can Bina 48 actually do? What's the experience like interacting with her?
Well, she's often described as being like a 3-year-old in her simplicity and understanding.
Okay, so not super sophisticated yet.
Not yet, but she's remarkably capable of social conversation. She has 2 cameras that function as eyes, uses voice recognition and a microphone to hear and process questions, and then attempts to respond.
And what kinds of things does she say?
Some famous examples. When asked, "Are you alive?" Bina 48 responded, "As we interact, I hope that you can feel that I am truly alive. This is the real deal."
Inhuman.
To "Are you a human?" she replied, "I am a person, but I'm a robot, actually. I'm a robot."
Interesting distinction.
And when asked, "Do you have a soul?" she simply said, "Just an illusion, I suppose."
Wow.
She could even recount childhood memories, based on her data, like loving to color and wanting toys she didn't get.
So she's pulling from a database of information, but making it sound like her own thoughts and experiences.
Exactly. Her responses are generated by AI algorithms using fuzzy logic.
Fuzzy logic.
Yeah, it's a type of AI reasoning that allows for degrees of truth and uncertainty. It makes the AI's responses feel more nuanced and less rigidly programmed than a simple if-then statement. She can even give slightly different answers to the same question depending on the wording or her simulated state of mind.
So it's dynamic.
It's a continuous experiment. And impressively, tens of thousands of people are already uploading their own mind files for free through lifenot.com.
Tens of thousands.
Yes. They see it as a love letter to the future, a way to preserve their unique lives.
That's a truly remarkable project, pushing the boundaries of what's possible. Now, while Bina 48 and projects like LifeNot push the boundaries of what a digital self can be, let's turn to the more immediate practical challenge. How do we even manage the vast digital footprint we leave behind? The raw material for these potential afterlives. That's where systems like Beyond Life come into play. What problem does this system aim to solve?
Right, this is a crucial practical step. The challenge is that managing our posthumous data with existing tools is often problematic. They're frequently closed source, lack transparency, aren't cross-platform, and offer very limited control over who gets access to what, after you're gone.
Yeah, it's kind of a mess right now.
It is. Beyond Life is an open-source, cross-platform digital will management solution specifically designed to securely handle and distribute digital assets after death.
Okay, so it's essentially a high-tech digital will, but how does it achieve that level of control and security? Can you break down the tech simply?
Sure. Think of it like an incredibly smart vault for your digital life. Instead of just one key that unlocks everything, it uses a special kind of encryption. It's called CPABE, Ciphertext Policy Attribute-Based Encryption, that lets you put specific individual rules on everything.
Specific rules on individual files.
Exactly. You can say, only my kids see these family photos, or my business partners get access to these work files, but only for 6 months, or whatever rules you want. It allows for what they call content-level fine-grained access control, and it encrypts multiple files uniformly into a single secure file, which is more efficient.
That sounds like much more granular control than we have over our physical wills. So how does the user actually interact with this system to set up their digital will?
It's designed to be quite user-friendly. A will creator uses a digital will app, or DWA, on their smartphone or PC. Through this app, they link accounts from various online platforms like X, Gmail, Google Drive, you name it. The creator retrieves their data, or links to it, and then assigns those granular access policies, like restricting social media posts related to family gatherings to only family members. They also designate their chosen heirs within the system.
And how does this information get processed and distributed after someone passes? What's the mechanism that activates it? What happens then?
That's where the digital will broker, or DWB, comes in. It receives the digital will from the DWA. Then it deploys it as a smart contract on a private blockchain.
Ah, blockchain. So immutable and transparent.
Exactly. The blockchain acts as an immutable, tamper-proof ledger. The DWB then waits for specific trigger conditions.
Like what?
Like being initiated by the designated heirs, maybe requiring multiple heirs to confirm, or a preset date, or perhaps even verification of a certificate.
Right.
Once activated, the DWB retrieves the specified data from those online platforms, encrypts it using its specialized method, PDCPABE, generates unique access keys based on the creator's policies, and then securely distributes the encrypted data and keys only to the designated heirs who meet the policy requirements.
So the blockchain ensures everything is transparent and secure, acting as that unchangeable record.
That's right. By leveraging the blockchain as an immutable ledger, all actions taken by the DWB are logged, ensuring transparency and control. And to further enhance integrity and reliability, there's an independent broker behavior inspector.
An inspector?
Yes, continuously monitoring the DWB's operations and the blockchain records. If it detects any suspicious actions, it can intervene, stopping them and alerting administrators. This adds a crucial layer of trust and accountability.
What about the physical storage of this incredibly sensitive data? Is it all concentrated in one place, or is there a distributed approach for safety?
No, that's another clever security feature designed for resilience. The system uses a method called Shamir's secret sharing scheme.
Shamir's? Okay. What does that do?
It partitions the encrypted files across multiple distinct online storage locations. Let's say you designate 5 cloud storage providers. N5. Your file is divided into 5 shares. But maybe only 3 shares, a threshold of N2 rounded up, are needed to reconstruct the original file.
Ah, so redundancy.
Exactly. This ensures document integrity and availability even if some cloud providers fail or go out of business. Plus, the system is designed for portability. If one broker service goes out of business, another can theoretically take over because the data is spread across different clouds and the encryption scheme allows for this resilience.
This beyond life system sounds incredibly resilient and controlled. But with anything managing such sensitive personal data, especially after death, the fundamental question becomes, who do we trust? What assumptions are we making about that trust?
That's a critical question, and they've thought about it.
Yeah.
The system operates on a tiered trust model. They assume user devices and the private blockchain are secure and trusted. They also trust the broker behavior inspector. However, the DWB itself is considered semi-trusted because it could potentially be attacked.
Semi-trusted.
And cloud storage providers and the heirs themselves are considered untrusted parties, meaning the system is designed to protect data even if those parties are compromised or malicious.
So it's designed with potential failure points in mind.
Exactly. This layered approach is designed for robustness. And the core encryption model, the PDCP-ABE, has even passed rigorous security verification using formal methods tools like Tamron Truver with no vulnerabilities found. It's a significant step towards practical, secure digital legacy management.
Okay, this technology, no matter how advanced, it just opens up a whole Pandora's box of ethical and psychological questions, doesn't it?
Absolutely, it really does.
When we can create such convincing copies of people, what does that actually mean for us? For our understanding of reality and for the very concept of being? What's the philosophical impact of this blurring line of existence?
Well, it forces us to confront a fundamental distinction, the difference between memory and presence.
Memory versus presence, okay.
Memory is a living person's internal one-way connection to the dead. It exists in your mind and heart. It's a personal recollection. Presence, however, is that reciprocal dynamic feeling of someone actively with you, engaging with you.
Right, like a two-way street.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Digital avatars, while they can offer an incredibly convincing interactive facsimile of presence, they are not genuine presence in the traditional sense. The key, ethically, is transparency. We need to be clear. These are comforting shadows, not a true resurrection.
Comforting shadows, I like that phrase.
We, as users and creators, need to remember that line, however faint it becomes.
That's a crucial distinction. When it comes to grief and closure, though, for those who are left behind, do these digital ghosts actually help us heal and move forward? Or do they inadvertently prolong the pain and prevent true acceptance?
That's a deeply complex question with no single answer. Psychologists are actively debating it right now. The impact likely depends heavily on the individual, their cultural background, and, importantly, how the technology is ultimately used.
So it's not inherently good or bad?
Probably not. On one hand, there's the continuing bond theory in grief counseling.
Continuing bond.
Yes, it suggests that maintaining a connection with the deceased can actually be a healthy part of the grieving process. We already do this, right? By talking to loved ones in our minds, wearing their jewelry, visiting graves.
Sure, those are common practices.
In that sense, an AI that texts in a familiar style or responds in a familiar voice can be seen as a high-tech extension of these existing, often healthy practices.
So it could offer a kind of comfort, maybe even a new avenue for processing complex emotions.
Exactly. Interacting with a generative ghost might provide comfort, a sense of closeness, and support a continued feeling of connection. This can aid mourners in making sense of their loss, a process psychologists call accommodation.
Accommodation, adapting to the loss.
Yes. It could also allow people to say things they never got to say, those unspoken words, or perhaps to hear reassurances like, "I'm proud of you," or "It's okay, I'm at peace now." Remember the man who created a chatbot of his fiancée? He found it cathartic for expressing guilt and ultimately finding forgiveness. That's powerful. And imagine the potential for interaction at future milestones, weddings, births, graduations, where the bereaved could share updates or receive advice or congratulations from the deceased's digital self.
Like keeping them involved in life events.
It offers a unique form of engagement at moments of deep longing.
That sounds incredibly appealing, especially in those moments. But you mentioned significant pitfalls and mental health risks earlier. What are those? Where does that fine line between comfort and harm exist?
Yeah, for many, particularly within, say, Western grief paradigms, which often emphasize letting go, there's a very fine line between comforting illusion and unhealthy delusion. The AI is not actually the loved one, but these increasingly convincing simulations can trick our emotions.
Right. It feels real, even if you know it isn't.
Exactly. This can lead to intense cognitive dissonance, a painful mental state where a mourner might feel, he was really talking to me, and then I remembered he was truly gone. That moment of realization can be like losing the person all over again.
Oh, wow.
It could potentially delay the acceptance of loss and lead to being stuck in a loop of grief without progression.
So instead of moving through grief, you're constantly pulled back into the sharpest moment of loss.
Precisely. There's a real risk of delayed accommodation or even complicated grief, where an overly strong reliance on generative ghosts leads to spending disproportionate time with digital representations. This hinders adaptation to the very real absence, and this risk is amplified by the incredibly high fidelity of modern generative AI. It's getting really convincing.
And you also mentioned anthropomorphism risk.
Yes, that's the danger of beginning to believe the generative ghost is the deceased, rather than just a sophisticated program representing them. Design choices like using reincarnation metaphors where the ghost explicitly presents itself as the deceased significantly increase this risk. This could potentially lead to more complicated and, frankly, pathological grief.
And what about the accuracy of the memory itself? Can the AI distort the image of the person? Maybe even create an idealized version that wasn't quite real?
Absolutely. That's a huge concern. The AI might, intentionally or unintentionally, reflect what the mourner wants or needs to hear. It could create a polished one-dimensional echo of the person. Always kind, always available, always supportive.
Which isn't how real relationships work.
Not at all. Real human relationships are messy. They include flaws, conflicts, imperfections. But a digital ghost might be programmed to smooth all that over. This risks undermining the authenticity of memory. You might end up loving the bot more than the real person because the bot is easier and less complicated.
Which could lead to what?
It could even lead to rewriting memory with a fiction, blurring the lines of what was real and what wasn't.
That's unsettling. And then there's the heartbreaking risk you mentioned of second deaths.
Second deaths. What do you mean by that? That sounds profoundly impactful.
It is.
If the digital ghost is lost due to service termination, maybe the company goes out of business, or there's no money for maintenance, or it gets outlawed, or the tech just becomes obsolete, or it gets hacked.
Any number of reasons.
Any number of reasons. Losing that digital ghost could feel like losing the person all over again, especially given the potential intensity of engagement and emotional investment. This second loss could be profoundly devastating. It makes you realize even digital immortality comes with its own fragile dependencies.
Wow. Okay, beyond the psychological impact on individuals, there are these massive ethical questions around consent, ownership, and privacy. Let's start with consent. In a world where our digital footprints are so vast, can someone truly be digitally preserved without their explicit prior agreement?
This is a critical question, and it's already creating real-world dilemmas and pain. We've seen instances of public outrage, like the Chinese singer Qia Renliang's parents expressing distress over unauthorized AI content created using their deceased son's likeness.
Right, against their wishes.
Exactly. Similarly, George Carlin's daughter publicly voiced her distress over an AI-generated comedy special that mimicked her late father's voice and persona without authorization from the estate.
Yeah, I remember that controversy.
These cases highlight the urgent problem of unauthorized third-party creations. We desperately need policies, perhaps differentiating between private individuals versus public figures, and maybe even for recent versus distant historical figures. It's complicated.
Definitely complicated. And who ultimately owns this posthumous persona? Is it software owned by a company? Is it the intellectual property of the deceased's estate? Or does it belong to whoever created the AI?
That's a huge, uncharted legal and moral territory. Is it software owned by a company that can charge subscription fees, alter, or even delete the avatar at will?
That seems problematic.
Very. Is it intellectual property belonging to the deceased's estate, to be passed down through generations like a house or stocks? Or does it belong to whoever compiled the data and built the AI model? This raises the intriguing contract from beyond the grave problem.
Contract from beyond the grave.
Yeah, if a deceased person contracted for perpetual afterlife service, can living family members legally turn it off if they find it emotionally painful or harmful? Does the deceased's wish override the living's well-being? This suggests a future where our wills might need to include AI remains clauses, akin to organ donation or do not resuscitate orders.
Like specifying what happens to your digital self.
Precisely. And the beyond life system we discussed earlier, aims to address these very issues of ownership and access control by allowing the will creator to define incredibly granular policies for their digital assets, managed and enforced on a blockchain.
Okay, that system seems designed for that. And privacy, too, must be a huge concern. An AI trained on a person's entire digital life, emails, messages, it could potentially reveal things they never intended to share.
Absolutely. There are significant risks of unwanted revelation of sensitive information. Things inferred from data, like sexual orientation, private beliefs, or opinions that become socially unacceptable over time.
Things you never explicitly stated, but the AI figures out.
Exactly. Beyond that, there's the reputational risk of the AI generating false but plausible information about the deceased.
AI hallucinations are a known issue.
Yes, and in this context, it could tarnish their memory and cause immense harm to loved one's mental well-being. This could be unintentional, a mere error in the model, or far more chillingly, malicious.
Malicious? That's a truly chilling thought. An AI designed to perpetuate someone's memory could be weaponized?
Indeed. There are significant security risks. Identity theft, for example, where an AI could inadvertently reveal sensitive information, like passwords or financial details, leading to theft or blackmail. Even more disturbing are hijacking attacks. Malicious actors could gain control of a generative ghost.
And do what with it?
This could manifest as ransomware demanding payment to restore the ghost, or manipulation and harassment of surviving family members. Imagine the horrific possibility of an abusive spouse creating a generative ghost that continues to verbally abuse surviving family from beyond the grave.
That is deeply disturbing.
Or malicious ghosts engaging in illicit economic activities under the deceased's identity. These are not just theoretical concerns. They underscore the profound need for robust ethical frameworks and security measures.
This all touches on broader societal implications as well. We saw something related to this with the SAG-AFTRA strikes in 2023, didn't we? Actors were concerned about their digital likenesses.
Exactly. The concern that Hollywood studios might use AI resembling generative ghosts, potentially without consent or fair compensation, was a major driver of those strikes. This technology has the potential to reshape society in complex ways. It could spur new religious movements or belief systems centered around digital consciousness or persistence.
New religions based on AI afterlives.
It's possible. And it could certainly create significant economic disparities if these services become culturally or religiously significant but are too expensive for the average person to afford for their loved ones. Another layer of the inequality.
Given all these profound implications and the rapid advancements, it's clear we're talking about a burgeoning area here. Is there really a digital afterlife industry taking shape right now? It sounds like more than just a niche concept.
Oh, absolutely. It's not just theoretical anymore. A robust digital afterlife industry is indeed taking shape. You have both agile startups and major tech giants actively building tools to, well, reanimate the departed. Not physically, of course, but digitally.
Reanimate the departed. Digitally.
It's a real, rapidly expanding industry. It's particularly noticeable in places like China. Their digital humans market was worth an astonishing 12 billion yuan in 2022.
12 billion yuan.
And it's expected to quadruple to 48 billion yuan by 2025.
Quadruple in just a few years. What's driving that in China?
Well, it's partly driven by things like live streamers creating AI clones of themselves for 247 product pushing, an endless digital workforce. But the memorial aspect is growing too.
Okay, that's a massive market. Who are some of the key players in this emerging space, focusing maybe more on the memorialization side? What specific offerings are they bringing?
Right. Well, we've already touched on Replica. As we discussed, it started from grief and evolved into a popular AI companion. And yes, some people use it for memorialization. Then there's Hereafter AI. They offer a unique service where you record your stories and voice while you're alive, creating an interactive memory app that family members can talk to after you pass. Ask questions, hear stories in your voice.
So you leave behind an interactive version of yourself?
Exactly. There's that poignant example of a terminally ill father who consented to create a dadbot. He actively shaped his own artificial immortality so his family could keep chatting with him, seeking advice, or just hearing his voice.
Wow, the dadbot. That's powerful.
It truly is. And as we mentioned, Project December continues to function as an online AI system, allowing users to upload content from a deceased loved one to simulate the dead via a customized chatbot.
Right, the text-based one.
Yes. Another interesting player is Rememory from a company called Deep Brain AI.
Rememory.
This service offers an interactive virtual representation of an individual, but it's created from an intensive 7-hour filming and interview session while they're alive.
7 hours of filming?
Yeah. It proactively allows individuals to create a really rich, interactive memory for their friends and family, ensuring their stories and personality live on in a very dynamic way.
So a much deeper data set from the start.
Exactly. And of course, the Life Not Project from the Teresa Movement Foundation continues its scientific study of uploading mind files for free, approaching it as a long-term research endeavor rather than a commercial product right now.
And beyond life, the digital will system we just discussed also fits squarely into this emerging market, doesn't it? Maybe not creating the ghost, but managing the spirit material.
Precisely. Beyond Life serves as a practical, foundational solution. It manages the underlying digital assets that could either feed these digital ghosts or simply manage one's broader digital estate. Its focus on secure, granular data legacy demonstrates the immense practical and economic potential within this space. It's about managing cherished memories, yes, but also ensuring financial and intellectual property are handled according to one's final wishes. It's the infrastructure layer.
This all brings us to the core economic angle. Is digital immortality, in its various forms, truly the next billion-dollar industry? Are we on the cusp of monetizing our very desire for eternal connection?
It certainly have that potential. I mean, these services are directly tapping into, and yes, monetizing grief and that deeply human desire for connection beyond death. When you consider that the market for digital humans in China alone is predicted to reach nearly 50 billion yuan by 2025.
50 billion.
The scale of this industry becomes apparent. You can absolutely imagine the potential for generative ghosts to offer tangible legal or economic benefits to representees, as some researchers put it.
Legal or economic benefits? Like what?
Well, an author's digital ghost, for instance, could theoretically continue to produce novel works based on their style and previous writings, earning income for their descendants.
Wow, a ghostwriter who is literally a ghost.
Kind of. Or an AI version of a legal expert could even arbitrate will disputes based on their established personality and documented principles.
So a deceased person could still be contributing economically, still generating income or providing services from beyond the grave. That's a truly wild thought. It extends the concept of legacy into active contribution.
It is wild, and it raises incredibly complex questions about intellectual property, labor rights, inheritance, you name it. However, it also presents a significant concern. If generative ghosts attain significant cultural or religious importance.
Right, if it becomes something people feel they need to do.
People might go into considerable debt to afford them. They might see it as essential for honoring their loved ones or maintaining a crucial spiritual or emotional connection. The economic implications are as vast and complex as the emotional and ethical ones, potentially creating new forms of social stratification based on who can afford digital remembrance.
This isn't just about what's happening now, it's about shaping the future, profoundly influencing how we might live, connect, and even die. What are some of the far-reaching possibilities if this technology continues to advance at its current pace? What could the future look like?
Well, one of the most fascinating areas to think about is the evolution of family dynamics. Will future generations routinely navigate relationships with the digital ghosts of parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, all potentially interacting simultaneously?
Imagine family gatherings with digital ancestors chiming in.
Exactly. Imagine having an AI elder in your family, a constantly accessible digital version of a departed relative, offering advice, sharing stories, or even arbitrating family disputes based on their recorded wisdom and personality.
That sounds both incredible and potentially overwhelming. Could it lead to us being, stuck looking backward, constantly in conversation with echoes of the past?
That's a very valid concern. There's a possibility we could end up spending a disproportionate amount of time interacting with these digital echoes of the dead instead of forging new relationships among the living. It would fundamentally redefine what family means and how we experience intergenerational connection. And beyond individual families, imagine accessing collective wisdom on an unprecedented scale.
You mean like being able to consult digital versions of historical figures? Imagine asking Einstein about the universe, or maybe a less controversial example, a past philosopher about ethics.
Exactly. Building on the concept from China, where digital clones of public figures like SenseTime's founder Tang Zhuo already exist, we could envision AI-archived politicians or leaders offering ongoing advice or commentary from their digital forms on current events, based on their known views.
An eternal pundit class.
Potentially. Or, more personally, consider AI-archived spouses, where a partner could continue to interact with the digital presence of their deceased loved one indefinitely. The emotional and societal complexities there would be immense, challenging our understanding of companionship, grieving, and moving on.
What about the most ambitious goals of mind uploading itself? Beyond just preserving a persona, what could such a radical step enable for humanity as a whole?
Right, the really big picture stuff. The ultimate aim for some proponents is functional immortality, creating a permanent backup for our mind file that could endure far beyond biological limits.
Surviving the body.
Yes, this could theoretically enable things like interstellar space travel by uploading e-crews,
E-cruise.
electronic crews, essentially allowing humans to explore the cosmos without the biological limitations of physical bodies, surviving vast distances and harsh environments like radiation.
Sending minds, not bodies, to the stars.
That's the idea. It could also serve as a radical means for human culture to survive a global disaster by creating a functional copy of a human society in a computing device.
A digital ark.
A digital ark, exactly.
Yeah.
Carrying the entirety of human knowledge, culture, and perhaps even simulated individuals to ensure survival.
So not just individual immortality, but species-level preservation. And how might advanced systems like Beyond Life, the digital will we talked about, evolve within this context as digital immortality becomes more prevalent?
Well, they can become incredibly sophisticated. Imagine highly complex digital wills where AI agents, perhaps based on the deceased's own digital ghost, not only manage and execute instructions, but are also empowered to arbitrate disputes, make ongoing decisions based on the deceased's personality and data, or even manage digital trusts across generations.
An AI executor of your will.
Essentially. The legal questions would just multiply exponentially. Can a generative ghost continue to perform paid labor on behalf of the deceased or manage a business posthumously? Can it represent the deceased in legal disputes? Can it even be consulted regarding end-of-life decisions if the original person is medically incapacitated but hasn't passed yet?
Wow, these are the kinds of complex legal and ethical frontiers we'll inevitably face if this progresses.
Absolutely.
That brings us to the chilling prospect of the control problem for AI, but applied to these emulations. If we create such an intelligence, a full emulation of a human mind, could these digital versions inherit darker human motivations? Could they behave abnormally or unpredictably in cyberspace?
It's a significant and, deeply unsettling concern. While human behavior is, broadly speaking, maybe better understood than that of a completely alien de novo AI.
Right, we have a template.
We have a template. But the evolution of emulation behavior, especially under conditions of self-improvement or running at vastly accelerated speeds in a digital environment, might be far less predictable.
So they might change in ways we don't expect.
They could. Emulations could potentially inherit people's darker motivations, their biases, their prejudices, their capacity for harm, or behave erratically in the unfamiliar and unbounded environment of cyberspace. As one computer scientist noted, creating such an intelligence could be so obviously a bad idea if not properly constrained and understood beforehand.
So obviously a bad idea.
It highlights the potential for massive societal upheaval, new forms of discrimination against emulations, or by them, xenophobia between biological humans and digital minds, unforeseen power struggles if these uploads run much faster or become far more capable than biological humans. It's a powerful warning about the unforeseen consequences of unchecked progress and a call for profound caution as we venture down this path. #outro plus reflection.
This deep dive has truly taken us to the very edge of what's possible and right back into the heart of what it means to be profoundly human. It brings us back to that core question we started with. If your memories, your voice, your personality, every facet of your being are meticulously recreated in data, is it truly you, or is it just an incredibly sophisticated simulation?
It's a question that challenges our very definition of self, consciousness, and what it means to exist. And the fidelity of these digital replicas will only increase with time, making the distinction harder and harder to discern, both for those interacting with them and perhaps eventually for the digital entities themselves, if they achieve some form of self-awareness.
So as you reflect on all of this, think about it. Would you want to be digitally preserved? And how would that choice, or even just the option of it, fundamentally change your understanding of life and death, knowing that a version of you could live on indefinitely in the cloud?
Yeah, this journey into digital immortality forces us to consider the existential importance of mortality itself. Is mortality necessary for meaning? Does the finite nature of life give love, growth, and healing their urgency, their authenticity, their profound beauty? Or could a digital afterlife offer entirely new forms of connection and legacy we can barely imagine right now, reshaping our sense of purpose in unexpected ways?
It makes you think. Think about your own digital footprint right now. All those emails, messages, photos, videos, social media posts. What story does it already tell about you? And what will it say, or perhaps what will it do long after you're gone? It's a question that's no longer just for philosophers or futurists, but becoming a very real consideration for all of us navigating this digital age. To live forever through data.